not understand the struggle to start this video. It's taken me like half an hour just to focus my camera because I'm in my room, there's no one to help me focus. So I have a massive pile of cushions to help me focus my camera because I just couldn't do it. I really hope that didn't just hit my tripod. Today I am here to do a Q&A. I've never done a Q&A before, so I hope it's not too boring. I graduated uni last week, so I thought I could do a bit of a uni Q&A because you had so many questions for me. So I'll start off with the basics. I graduated from the University of South Wales with a 2-1 in photojournalism. So first of all, I did an FDA, which is Foundation Degree of the Arts, in professional photography at City of Bristol College. I did that for 2 years because basically I screwed up my A-levels and I was just not smart enough to go to uni straight away. I then did my 3rd year in photojournalism at the University of South Wales and got a 2-1 overall. It was hard work. Has my background just fallen down? Yes, excuse me. So I did 2 years in college and 1 year at the University of South Wales. First 2 years were miserable. I hated my college. The 3rd year I absolutely loved. I actually stayed at home while I was studying and I went to obviously Cardiff, which is only about 35 minutes from me. So I thought I would jump into some questions from you. The first question I've got is from Nicole and she just said, how did you even manage? Honestly, I don't know. What are 5 things you think people should do before going to uni? First thing is something I wish that somebody had told me. You don't have to go to uni straight after sixth form. When I was in school it was you finish your education, you go to sixth form and then you go to university, and that, like, if you do not do that then you will be a failure in life. It's not true. Wish I'd have kind of known and kind of been educated enough to do my own research. So if you didn't want to go to uni you could do an apprenticeship, you could do an internship and then you could go to uni. So if you want to do an apprenticeship you have to do it before university, because if you try and get an apprenticeship after university they're like, well, you're too qualified and we can't get funding because you've already been in higher education. I would have loved to have done an apprenticeship before uni, to be honest, and I wish I'd have known about it. So number 2, I would say you are not going to have the same friends for life. In primary school I got bullied and Dad would always say, oh well, don't worry because, you know, they're not going to be the friends you have for life, you'll make your proper friends in high school. So I went to secondary school, that was not good either. I still talk to 2 people, but I'd say I've got like 1 friend from school and that is it. I went to uni, obviously I went to college for the first 2 years and I sort of made friends with people but haven't really kept in touch. And then in my 3rd year of uni, there's people that I chat to, they're lovely, but you know, we're not friends, we're kind of acquaintances. And I think the important thing to know is that you don't have to place all of this pressure on you must find a friend who is going to be with you through your life in school or university. It just doesn't happen. I'm lucky, I've got some really good friends. I didn't meet them in school or university. One of my good friends, Stacey, I met her at a gig, like in the line outside of the gig. Number 3, I would say do not put off doing your coursework. And I say this being a massive hypocrite. Even if you don't do the actual written work straight away, it helps, you know, if you think of something, take a note and make that quite a comprehensive note. So you say, you know, what you were thinking of at the time of shooting, the date and the time you shot it. Obviously this is only relevant to photography, but if you, I don't know, are doing psychology and they say about an experiment that you need to know, then you do comprehensive notes so that when you have to do your written work, you don't have to do as much research and you don't have to do as much from memory, like I did. Number 4, I would say your lecturers are there to help. You might hate them at times, you might be like, just please, just leave me alone for 2 minutes, and I hope my lecturer won't mind saying, but I think at times, like, my lecturer is so lovely, and at times we just clashed and I was like, just need some space, just kind of let me think about it on my own. So I'd kind of done my first 2 years thinking, your lecturer will not help you, like you are in this on your own. That is a lie. And I remember at one time, because I had to get an extension, so everyone else kind of started their major project the month before I started my major project, and I walked into the office and Becky said, so what are you doing for major project? I'm like, I don't know. Number 4? I think we're on number 4. And number 4, I would say, I wish I'd have made notes, I should have followed my own advice. Number 4 or 5, I can't remember. Use your time wisely, and I don't just say that from a point of view of not leaving your coursework to the last minute. If there's something that's going to help you, so like if you read a book before the next lecture, then build that into your time. Don't think you're just going to read it all in like 2 days. Build in your time to have fun. Say like, I'm going to have tomorrow night off, but tonight I'm going to work. And don't just relate that to coursework. So we had a very full programme of guest speakers at our uni, and they would come into the theatre. It didn't matter if they were for your course or not, but I would definitely say build in time for these kind of extracurricular things, because they will help to support you and inform your work in your actual chosen subject. Number 5, or this might be number 6. If this is number 6, I might leave it in. It's still a bonus. Number 5, I would say chat to people. And I don't just mean chat to people on your course. I would say, like, we had these kind of hub spaces. So there would be kind of all these chairs and tables together. So you would kind of be forced to sit down with people that you didn't know. And it would mean that you would chat to people from other courses and they might be able to help you, because a lot of our university, they were trying to teach us about networking. With these communal spaces, you would sit down and you'd maybe be surrounded by somebody from film, someone from radio, someone from, you know, the TV courses, graphic design. And by talking to them, it meant that if you ever needed help, like I did a book for my final project and I didn't know how to use InDesign. I pretty much spent a lot of time harassing my lecturers and Googling. Lots of Google. And had I known, you know, somebody from like graphic design or something like that, it probably would have helped me a lot. Next question. When applying, were you nervous about not getting in, and how did you find writing your personal statement? So obviously things are a bit different for me, but the first time around I applied to USW, I got in, and then I screwed up all of my A-levels. I didn't have the grades to get in, so then I had to go through clearing. You had to ring up a university, and because I was on a creative course, they wanted an interview. I think if you're an academic, you don't need an interview, they just, you know, my wall's fallen down again. When applying, I was really nervous, especially the second time around, because in sixth form they were really helpful, whereas in college there was nobody around to help you, so I was basically on my own. So if you haven't applied yet, basically there's a system called UCAS, and you have to go on, you select your universities, you have to write your personal statement, and then they send it to all the universities. They'll either reject you or they'll ask you to come in for an interview, and then you'll get a conditional offer, which is conditional on you getting the grades they want, or unconditional if you were just so fabulous that they just couldn't live without you. And clearly I was not that fabulous, because I got a conditional offer and failed. So yeah, I was really nervous about getting in, especially once you've been to the interview and you kind of, I think you get a feeling of whether they like you or not at the interview. I went to Gloucester for an interview and they were horrible. Interviews made me nervous, but I think you have to realise that it's not them grilling you, it's you also finding out if the university is the right place for you. In terms of writing my personal statement, the first time I really struggled. I think as I've got older my time management has got better, but in sixth form it was terrible. I remember, I think about a week before deadline, I came to my tutor and I said, I need help with my personal statement. Okay, how much have you written? I've not started. He kind of gave me a list. Basically he said you want to have a paragraph about, you know, you, what your interests are, you want to have a paragraph about your education and how that's preparing you for uni and how your education has led you towards wanting to do the course. And you don't have to obviously write the exact name of the course, but if you're applying to photography courses then you just relate it to photography courses. And then you say about your extracurricular activities, and then you write about work. So I mean, I worked in retail while I was in school, so I just said it teaches me people skills, time management, all the things that you need for photography. And then you kind of sum it up at the bottom with, these are all the reasons that I'm amazing and you need to invite me to come to your uni. When you're writing it, I'd write a bullet point list first, so things that you've done in school that will help you towards this subject you want to study at uni, things you've done while you're working, and things you have done in your extracurricular life, and then kind of split them into paragraphs and then kind of write short sentences for the paragraphs and then put them together and expand it, and that really helped me. I hope that helps. I hope I haven't just rambled for ages, but I'll do a blog post on it anyway, and I'll try and dig out my personal statement if I can find it. So the next question is, how did you cope with homesickness? I didn't have to cope with homesickness because I lived at home while I was studying, but I did ask one of my friends who moved away and she suffered quite badly with homesickness. I would get texts from her kind of every week or so going, I really want to go home, I don't want to be in Cardiff. And she said she coped a lot with kind of always being in contact with her mum, so they'd be calling, she'd go home to visit every weekend, and keeping busy as well. It sounds bad, but you like don't have time to miss your family. I would say keep busy, keep in contact, and kind of get out there. The reason that freshers events exist is so that you can find friends and so that you know that you're not alone. My card was full and now my battery is flashing red, so I've been talking to myself for about 10 minutes and I didn't even realise that it wasn't filming anymore. So next question, did you struggle with being bullied slash not being able to make friends, and if so, how did you cope? My first 2 years were quite bitchy, it was quite nasty, it wasn't very friendly, nobody kind of got on well. I haven't really kept in touch with anyone from college. In terms of uni, there's a couple of people that, you know, I talked to, and when I was in class we'd chat, we'd have a laugh. I feel like I haven't really got any people I consider friends from uni, apart from this one lady that I consider friends, but I don't see her. We're both busy living our lives. I would sometimes walk out of college and I would be counting down until Adam would finish work, and I would literally ring him on the train home nearly in tears because I was just like, I just need to talk to someone, I just need to, you know, be reminded that not everybody on this planet hates me. I coped by kind of reminding myself that just because I haven't got the friends in college or university, I've still got friends outside. And it was a lot easier in my 3rd year because, you know, we'd sit down and chat to each other. Just because your friends aren't around you all the time in university, it doesn't mean that you don't have friends. So I've got someone I consider a very good friend called Stacey. You've seen me talking about her, not with her, on my Instagram stories because she does not like the camera. So she is someone I consider a very good friend, and obviously Adam. I continue to meet up with my friends outside of uni to kind of remind myself that you do have friends, they're just not in the same place as you all the time. But if you are getting really seriously bullied, I think it's important that you speak to somebody inside of university about what's going on. Maybe they can help you. If it's something that seriously needs intervention, then they can help you with that as well. I just finished my 1st year of uni and found it piss easy. Well, lucky you. We're not all that smart. Did you find your 1st year easy? Did the work get tougher as you went on? I actually found my 1st year really difficult. I felt like I didn't have the support. If you're doing a subject that you've got exams in, I feel like maybe, you know, the 1st year would be easier and then it would get more difficult. But for me, doing a creative subject where we had coursework to do, I would say that actually the 1st year was the most difficult and it got easier because even though you had more work to do, you were better prepared and you knew what you were doing. I kind of knew what was expected of me by 3rd year, so I actually found it go the other way, like 3rd year was the easiest. I guess for exam subjects it probably does get a bit more difficult as you go along. And how did you cope with exam stress? Well, I mean, I didn't have to cope with exam stress because I had coursework, but coursework stress was real. You know, those really irritating people that always had it up together when you're there kind of pulling your hair out like a week before deadline, like how did I get into this mess? Even the people that were kind of put together and just sorted with their lives, they even kind of struggled in the last week or so. And I think it's about kind of, yes, you need to devote this time to making sure that, you know, you do the best that you possibly can, be that in exams or coursework, but don't lose sight of yourself and still give yourself time to breathe. You need to give yourself that space because if you're working all the time, you're going to burn yourself out and you are not going to do the best that you can. And if you're like me, I have no self-control, and once I switch on Netflix, that is it. So maybe you work all day and you have like your office hours, so you have like 9 till 5 and, you know, you have half an hour lunch break, and if you can carry on working like that, great, that's what I did. And then I would switch off kind of like, I'd say 9 till 5, normally switch off about 8, 9 o'clock-ish. I would watch YouTube for an hour and then I would speak to Adam on Skype, and that was kind of me rewarding myself for working hard during the day. So that's how I coped, and I think if you're doing revision for an exam, yes, it's stressful, but you need to remember to look after yourself. I think it's important that you take a break and you do something that you love, even if you just go for a walk, you study in a coffee shop instead of at home. You need to kind of remind yourself that yes, this is stressful at the moment, but it will pass. Something does not want me to film this YouTube video today. First of all, my camera was full and then my battery died, so I just had to switch battery. I've switched card and I'm just going to get through the last questions as quick as possible before anything else happens. How many times did you think about quitting and walking out? Who or what stopped you? So many times. I couldn't even give you a count. Like, saying how many times, I don't even know. It's pretty much like a monthly occurrence, especially in my 1st and 2nd year. I hated my college, and especially kind of when it's coming up to coursework hand in, when everyone's stressed out, everyone kind of starts snapping at each other and you're just like, why am I here? Why am I putting up with this? I spoke to my family, first of all. I spoke to Adam a lot and I was like, look, I really do not want to be in uni anymore. And he was really good, so just kind of reminding me, he'd repeatedly say, just get to the end of the year, get to the end of the year and then see how you feel. I kept trying to think, you know, once I've handed in this module, it will be less stressful. I would talk to my family, talk to my friends. I would try and do something that wasn't university related to give myself a bit of a reset. During third year, me and Adam would kind of have almost weekly days out where we would have one day a week where I would switch off my phone, log out of all social media, and we would just go for a walk, take my camera, just have a nice relaxing day and just do something different for a change. Set yourself mini milestones as well, so you know, just get through this coursework deadline, you know, write like 50 words a day type thing, because you won't write 50 words a day. You'll start writing and it will flow and you've probably done 300 and then you're like, oh, that was really easy. I think if it wasn't for my family and wasn't for kind of taking time out to do what I loved and having the blog to work on, I'm not saying start a blog, but you know, something that you love, I don't think I would have made it through 3 years of university. Did you make use of any of the mental health or wellbeing services at your uni? Not really. I did have to go and ask for an extension, which was quite stressful. Personally, I didn't access any mental health services. I didn't really hear anything about USW. I know there was like a mental health group on Facebook, but I didn't really hear anything about the USW wellbeing services. But I know when I was in college, it's like, well, if you're not going to go to the doctor, we can't help you. Final question, I wanted to end on a high note. What were your highlights of university? I know this is a really bad one, but leaving college was a highlight. I'm going to talk specifically about USW because the first 2 years were just kind of like 2 years of constant misery. You got a lot of opportunities to get involved with the rest of the university. The Director General of the BBC was coming to USW. He said, you know, does anybody want to photograph it? So I got to photograph the Director General and I got to meet him. He's a very nice man actually, very friendly and very kind of enthusiastic about education. But I got to photograph him, which was really cool. And what was even cooler, I think it's downstairs so I can't show you. Is it? No, wait, hang on, I'll grab it. I saw my photos and my name all over the USW social media. Here is another highlight, which I don't know if you can call this a highlight of university. It's in Welsh on that side. Here is the graduation ceremony programme. This main red bit was given to every single graduate that graduated at USW this year. Inside, this is my picture. We'd had our nice day in that, and on the way home I said, oh, can I have a look at the programme please? So I had a look and I opened it and saw my picture inside the graduation ceremonies programme, and I mean that is a massive highlight. But I would say kind of my main highlights were being able to try new technologies in my field and getting to meet people that were really inspiring to me. And I don't know if that's something you'd get to do across all universities, but specifically in USW. Those are probably my highlights, because let's be fair, when am I ever going to meet the Director General of the BBC again? So that is it. That is my university Q&A. I just hit the wall. That's it. That's my university Q&A. Oh my god. Oh, it's one of those days today. That's it. That is my university Q&A. That is all your questions answered. I hope this has been helpful to you. If it is, please subscribe, leave me a nice comment or a like below. Check out my other videos. I will link my vlog if you want to watch what happened on the day. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Please check me out on my other social media. They're all in the description box below, and I will speak to you soon. Bye!